Hi, everyone. My name is Nicole Acquie. I am currently the chair of the Online Resources Subcommittee. Online Resources is subcommittee of the Education Committee. You'll be hearing about them in a moment. I'm also the vice president of ASFA. I want to welcome you all to our first kind of shameless promotion webinar, which is called How to Get Involved with ASFA. We're going to talk about committees today. Unlike our usual offerings, this particular presentation isn't offering CME credit because we're not really going to discuss an educational topic, but I think what we are going to discuss is even more important, and it's really how you get the most out of your membership in ASFA. And we really do feel that that is by being involved with committees. So for right now, I'm going to turn it over to Dr. Yara Park, who is the current ASFA president.
Thank you, Nicole. I'm glad everyone is here with us this morning or this afternoon, depending on where you are. Like Nicole said, I'm Yara Park. I'm the current president of ASFA. I'm a apheresis physician here at the University of North Carolina in Chapel Hill. Oh, sorry, Ernest, next slide, please. I just want to say that ASFA is really made up of our members. Our vision is to be the leader in apheresis medicine. One more slide, please. Sorry about that. And truly, our members are our biggest strength. And like Nicole had said, committees are a great way to get involved. And you don't have to have years of experience or be a huge name in the apheresis world to be on the committees. We want people with lots of experience, people new to apheresis, people from all over the world, both physicians, allied health, technologists, nurses. Really, we want to have a really diverse and inclusive organization, and that starts with our committees. So don't be intimidated and think, well, I've only been doing this for a year or two, I shouldn't be on a committee. We welcome you on our committees. So please listen to all of our committee chairs today. Feel free to ask questions at the end, and thank you so much for joining us. I'll turn it back over to Nicole.
All right, thanks. Next slide, please. Great, so back to the agenda. So you can see we're going to go in alphabetical order in terms of the committees. I'll just pile on a little bit to what Yara was saying in terms of the benefits of joining the committee. So of course you'll benefit ASFA because the real work of the organization gets done in the committees. But the personal benefit to you is that you know, you're going to be expanding your network. We are a subspecialty within a subspecialty, and it can get kind of lonely out here for us. But ASFA is a really warm and welcoming place. And by joining the committees, you'll get to expand your network of apheresis professionals, people that you can reach out to with questions. And probably most importantly is you'll have people to hang out with at the annual meeting. So you'll know people when you get there. And you've already, hopefully many of you have joined us in Philadelphia, saw how much fun we are. And so we welcome you to join these committees. So we will start off with the abstract committee, and I will let Julia take it away.
Okay, thank you so much. My name is Julia Hawkins, and I am the chair of the Abstract Committee. And I just wanted to talk to everyone for a few minutes about our committee and why you should all join. So the main role of an Abstract Committee member is to review and select abstracts for the annual meeting. As you may be aware, abstract submission deadline is in late January. Usually it's the last day of January. Afterwards, the abstracts are compiled, and if you are on our committee, you will have access to every abstract using the ScholarOne abstract website. You'll have somewhere around 10 days, sometimes it's 14, so 10 to 14 days in early February to review and score each abstract and then submit those scores into our website. And based on those scores, we will then select individuals who won awards, those we want to see for oral presentations, and those we want to see for poster presentations. Next slide. So one of the great things about the abstract committee is that there's a really limited time commitment. And this is really a breakdown of our expectation of what we want you to do throughout the year. There is going to be a tutorial that's about an hour long. It's actually not required, but it is strongly encouraged. And that will go over how to score abstracts using the ScholarOne website. The longest meeting we have is the abstract slotting conference, which typically takes place in February, where we meet virtually as a group and go through each abstract, scores, ranking, and who we want to receive awards and who we want to see present. And then the kind of last part of being on the committee is being an abstract session chair, meaning that you would chair a session for an oral presentation, and that's based on volunteer. So it's not something that's assigned to every member. And at every annual conference, there's anywhere from 6 to 8 session chairs that we have that sit and kind of help the abstract presenters move along in the process. Next slide. So applying is going to be a little bit different than the rest of your committees. And I just say this just so everyone's aware. The instructions for sign up for the abstract committee are actually going to come out via ASFA newsflashes or ASFA emails. But in summary, it's going to require the submission of your CV plus a short application with a few questions on it. We're really hoping to diversify our committee and get people from all practice backgrounds and interests because we want better representation of all aspects of apheresis. And the abstract committee really is a great platform to highlight your interest in apheresis and have a real impact on what gets presented at the annual meeting. So please think of us, and hopefully we will see you on the abstract slotting conference in February. Thanks.
Thanks, Julia. We'll move on to Allied Health Committee, and Kira Guile is the chair.
Hello. So Allied Health Committee, you can go to the next slide, sorry. Allied Health Committee really is something to represent and recognize the allied health professionals that are a part of ASFA. And we predominantly are there to promote a forum for education, consultation, and scientific exchange. We have two pretty big things going on, and for the most part, we spend a lot of our time getting the educational program together for the annual meeting. It's a lot of work, but honestly becomes a lot of fun as we kind of talk about what topics to present, and then also getting in speakers. So we'd love to not only have you participate in those conversations as part of our committee, but please always feel free to send us ideas as well. And then we also eventually will have a subcommittee. We expect that the Principles of Apheresis textbook, the 8th edition, will get underway here shortly, and so that is something that is also under the Allied Health Committee's purview. And we just kind of set that up and get that facilitated on its path to publishing. We are currently meeting on the second Wednesday of the month at 3 p.m. Eastern or 12 p.m. Pacific, or wherever that fits into your time zone. And like I said, it's just a monthly teleconference. And then I typically am asking people to really do lots of brainstorming in the interim. We really just need ideas, and not only of topics, like I said, but speakers. And so we tend to get together and try to plug those in. Next slide, please. And then beyond our planning for the annual meeting, I think it's something important to highlight is it really is a phenomenal networking group. It is the Allied Health Committee, so predominantly our allied health professionals. That said, we have a couple of lone docs in there. I would love to get more. I don't want people to think that it is only for allied health, but it is predominantly allied health based. But the idea is, how do we promote allied health, and how do we promote their scientific research coming forward too? So it really is a great group. And then we have been working with our head office this year. We're trying to get a page put together that really will be for our own allied health group, just something that we can exchange information a little bit easier. And we keep talking about a who's who of allied health, but being able to put a face with a name and who's doing what in what institutions, I think that would be really helpful for ourselves, for networking. And then, as Nicole mentioned earlier, once you get to the annual meeting, you have people you already know. I mentioned this earlier, but we expect to move forward with the Principles of Apheresis textbook. And then we do have a pretty large pediatric representation, so we're hoping actually to collaborate with the Applications Committee, which I think you're going to hear from next, as they have a pediatric subcommittee. So again, just knowing that we are a committee, and we're going to work with hopefully another committee within ASFA, so we're not recreating any wheels. I think that's all I have for you all, but I hope that I see a few more in Allied Health.
Thank you, Kira. We're going to move on to the Clinical Applications Committee. Dr. Liu, unfortunately, wasn't able to join us, but Yara is going to take over for her.
Thank you, Nicole. So the Clinical Applications Committee is, per our bylaws, a committee set to develop guidelines and of operation for the rapidly evolving science of apheresis. Our committee is actually a large committee made up of multiple subcommittees, and each subcommittee has projects they are working on, anywhere from doing surveys of practice to writing white papers about best practice and things we recommend for apheresis medicine. Next slide, please. As I mentioned, we're made up of many subcommittees, 8 different subcommittees. And these subcommittees meet anywhere from monthly to quarterly, some every 2 months, and some more frequently as needed. Within it, there's multiple different specialties, and you can be on multiple subcommittees. And if you're a member of the Clinical Applications Committee, we ask that you be a member of at least one subcommittee. The Cell Therapy Subcommittee is our newest subcommittee, and they're looking at best practices for the collection of cellular therapy material to go on to make cellular therapy or immune effector cells. Choosing Wisely is the group that actually made our ASFA Choosing Wisely guidelines, which I hope you've all seen. If not, you can find them on our website. And occasionally they are asked by the Choosing Wisely group, the larger group that's run by internal medicine, to update those guidelines. We have a coagulation subcommittee that looks at the use of anticoagulants in apheresis and how those interact. Our extracorporeal photopheresis subcommittee actually is a joint subcommittee that is both run through the clinical applications group and the research group, doing both operational guidelines as well as some research in ECP, and Dr. Webb will talk more about that. Our HPC donor subcommittee looks at that, HPC donors, and actually has been working with the Allied Health Committee on some joint projects, so the cross-committee collaboration. Kira mentioned the pediatric group that we have, and there's also, which is a large group looking at best practices for pediatric patients. Our therapeutic apheresis outcomes and utilizations are looking at more logistics of what should we be measuring to see if how we're performing and if the outcomes are what we expect, and how we utilize apheresis throughout the other parts of medicine. So it's a big committee with lots of different moving parts, but it's a nice way to be involved in different parts of apheresis as well. I think that's it for me, so I will pass it back to Nicole. Thank you.
Thanks. Moving right along to the Communications Committee with Hui Pham.
Hi, I'm Hui Pham from the National Marrow Donor Program. I am chairing the Communication Committee. My co-chair is Dr. Monica Baroda from Montefiore. Our committee is a little bit smaller compared to the other committee that you have heard about. The Communication Committee is responsible for the electronic dissemination of information to the membership and to the public, and as well as to recruitment and retention for the members of the societies. So we have a couple of projects as well as involvement with multiple external organizations. Some of our current projects included, we have a LinkedIn page that involve members, all different members of the apheresis committee to discuss questions and things like that. And our member of the committee will oversee and moderate that LinkedIn web page. And one of our newest projects is to redesign the ASFA website. As you know, the ASFA website has been up there for a couple of years, and we wanted to redesign it to make it look better, as well as provide more informational content and educational content. And another event that our committee is usually in charge of is to organize the meet and greet for new members at the annual meeting. If you attend our annual meeting in Philadelphia this year, you will notice that it's a huge turnout, which is a very good event at the meeting. And we also in charge of submitting proposals that are apheresis related or cellular therapy related to external organizations. Our members usually represent ASFA or be the speaker at different external organizations that have the ASFA joint sessions, such as AABB ASFA joint session or AABB ASCP ASFA joint session. So that is also some of the work that our committee have done. Can you move on to the next slide, please? For the member, we usually ask you to attend more than 50% of the meetings. And if you need to be absent, just like any one of us in the clinical world, just send us an email. And our meetings currently scheduled quarterly, so we meet every quarter to discuss about the current project as well as the upcoming project. However, with some of our new projects, such as redesign of the ASFA website, as well as to update the LinkedIn web page to make it to increase more visibility. We may have to meet more frequent, depends on the work that needs to be done and discussed. So we encourage you to come and join us. We have a lot of exciting projects, as well as potentially to involve with some of the educational sessions that we present both at ASFA as well as the external organization related to apheresis. And I think that's all I have for the communication committee.
Thanks very much. We're moving on to the education committee and Matt Carafin.
Well, hello everyone. Thank you for that introduction. My name is Matthew Carafin, and I am the current chair of the Education Committee. I think actually I have one of the easiest jobs of all the people speaking today, because Nicole Akui, our moderator today, and this webinar is sponsored by our committee. And so the best example of what we do is in our product. And I'm excited to see who becomes interested based on today, whether our committee is right for you guys. So the Education Committee, just in broad strokes, is made up of two separate subcommittees with separate leaders. We have the Online Resource Subcommittee, which is chaired by Nicole Akui, and then we have the Practitioner Subcommittee, which is chaired currently by Nicole Draper. Each subcommittee has their own tasks, all of which is fulfilling the charge of the Education Committee, which is to enhance the educational mission of our society and provide resources for our membership from an education standpoint, and also to provide education broadly. Our Online Resources Subcommittee, as you can see by today's presentation, is charged with producing our webinars. Our webinars are both content-based. It can also be based on things like today, which is sharing resources and opportunities for our membership. We also have a new webinar series that we have that is allied health RN-based, where nurses give talks to other nurses to help educate them on tough apheresis cases. The Online Resources Committee is also involved in creating online resources on the ASFA website, and in particular, the group in the Online Resources Committee are working on patient-specific resources to help educate our patients on what apheresis is like and what to expect when they're considering getting such a therapy. The Practitioner Subcommittee is also equally engaged in the educational mission. Their primary charge is to help develop journal clubs, both in webinar format, similar to what we're doing today, and in an online forum format. Both are granting continuing ed credits, and the members of this committee help select the articles and also help write questions that are then used for the CME granting process. And then lastly, for online resources, the Practitioner Subcommittee helps develop practitioner information sheets whereby we give practical and key information about different uses of apheresis for fellow practitioners who may be interested in considering an apheresis therapy for an individual. These subcommittees meet about every other month, and then the overarching committee, the Education Committee, meets quarterly, where both subcommittees get to share ideas and come up with new ones. So with that, I think I'll conclude and say if anyone is interested in our committee, we're excited to have you. So thank you very much.
Thanks, Matt. And I just have to put a little disclaimer in there. Despite how it might look, you don't have to be named Nicole to be on the Education Committee, and you don't have to be named Nicole to be a chair on any of the subcommittees. So we'll move on to the International Affairs Committee with Dr. Chisa Yamada.
Thank you. I'm Chisa Yamada. I'm from University of Michigan. I'm currently chair for International Affairs Committee, IAC. So currently we have more than 35 members from more than 15 countries. And then in the last ASFA meeting this year, 6 more people came to our table and then they want to participate as a member, and then we are welcome. And then we have usually quarterly video meeting roughly every 3 months. And then our members are from all over from the world. Everybody has different time zone. So one-time meeting is good for some people, but bad for some other people. So we decided 6 months ago, we decided to have 2 meetings in one day in US time. My time is Eastern time, so Eastern time in the morning, in the afternoon, so that for the same topics. And then so that 10 a.m. and 8 p.m. Eastern time. 10 a.m. is good for usually European people, usually 6 or 7 hours ahead of our time. And 8 p.m. is good for Asian people, usually a little bit more ahead of our time. And the administrator and chair, me, and then probably liaison should be attending, and then listen to your ideas or what we are going to do, what we want to do, we are going to discuss in that quarterly meeting. Video meeting, of course, international committee. So, and then we have in-person meeting, usually at ASFA meeting. Next slide. So we have currently 2 big projects. The first one is almost half done. The first one is we are trying to have a reduced fee for members from low and middle income countries, LMICs. And the membership, currently the board agreed to give them a discount membership fee of only $25 compared to regular member have to pay $80 to $190. So this is a very big benefit for people who are from LMICs. However, currently the ASFA website shows the LMIC lists based on Human Development Index. The Human Development Index is including the information from education, the country's policy, or life expectancy, which is not only for the economies. So we proposed to use World Bank countries for economies, and which was approved. So in near future, the list of the countries eligible for a discount fee will be changed in the website. So just stay tuned, especially the Mexico or Brazil. Those people from those countries, they may be eligible. So just stay tuned. And then we are trying to get more discount fee for annual meeting fees from those countries. And then we want to have a little bit check on those people who is eligible, and then those new applications are eligible by our committee, IAC. That's proposal for now. Next slide. So another project is that we are trying to make closer association and collaborations with another Apheresis organizations worldwide. So I show you this list of the Apheresis organizations. Probably there are some more, maybe smaller ones, bigger ones, I'm not really sure, but this is the list that I could find. Some of the organizations are very active. The others are a little bit not so active. But this is basically there are more organizations in the world to work for Apheresis. And we want to have a little bit connection with them. Next slide. So currently, what we are trying to do is that we are trying to make joint sessions. And then joint sessions as ASFA meetings and joint sessions at their meetings. So currently, I'm working for 3 organizations. Actually, the ASFA, International Society for Apheresis, we had a one-day joint session last year at ASFA meeting, which was a very big success. And then we had a very good comments. And then for next year, I'm working with JASFA, Japanese Society for Apheresis. I'm from Japan. So, and then the president of JASFA currently is my friend. So it's easy. And then they agreed. So we are working with them. And then we are trying to get an approval from board. We want to have a joint session at ASFA meeting next year and the JASFA meeting next year too. Another organization that we are working on is the WAA, World Apheresis Association. The next year's president of WAA is a member of IAC. So we are discussing it, and then we want to have a joint session at ASFA in 2024. And then we want to have a joint session at the WAA meeting next year or following year. And then more organizations, we want to have joint sessions. We will keep working on it. Next slide. So there are lots of differences between countries or areas, regions of the worldwide. So we want to have information on each other. And then we, in the US, we are using mainly centrifugation technique, but Europe, adsorption filter, in Japan, and double filtration filter. And then there are lots of things. And then so we want to exchange ideas and then the informations. And then so to do so, journal club and the webinar are in our scope. Maybe in future, and then we will have it, and then we invite many people and then discuss many things. And any of you from any countries are welcome to IAC, from the US, from Europe, from Asian country, from LMICs. As long as you are ASFA members, we are welcome. So please contact me or ASFA office if you want to join IAC. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Chisa. Let's move on to the Physicians Committee with Gay Worley. Gay, you're muted, but you look good.
Thank you. Hi, everybody. So excited to see that we have so many people joining us today. I hope that you will be interested in several of the committees that you hear from today. So my name is Gay Worley. I am the chair of the Apheresis Physician Committee. The vice chair working with me is Mohammed Al-Samak, and we have Eva Marie from the ASFA head office helping us, and our board liaison is Betty Doggett. We currently have about 30 members, and the committee meets quarterly. and our upcoming meeting will be November 22nd. And the committee, the overarching goal is to address any issues, concerns, ideas that deal with physician education, training, and competency or assessments, evaluations in the discipline of apheresis medicine at all levels of practice, from graduate medical education through our current practices post-graduation. And we have two subcommittees. One is the Apheresis Graduate Medical Education Subcommittee, and the second subcommittee is our Apheresis Medicine Attending Physician Subcommittee. And I'll circle back to each of these subcommittees. Next slide, please. So I thought it would be important to share some of the expectations for our committee. And number one, first and foremost, is active participation. This group is really interactive during our conference calls. Everybody chimes in, everybody works on our projects, and we often just have some kind of everyday check-ins with each other. What's going well? Tell us a highlight of your day, whether it's personal or professional. So again, it's a very active group. We love gathering, and of course, we love to have new members. In addition to joining the APC, we expect everybody to join one or both of the subcommittees. And then our attendance requirements are for the overarching committee to attend at least 50% of the meetings per year. That we meet quarterly, so that's 2 out of our 4 quarterly meetings. And in addition, you need to attend 50% of your chosen subcommittee meetings. So if you choose both subcommittees, attend 50% of each of their meetings. If you just join the one subcommittee, 50% of their meetings. Back to the overarching physician committee, we have some current projects which we're just getting underway. One of these is looking at apheresis physician professional advancement. It's going to be a survey study, and we just want to see what's been happening amongst our cohort in terms of their advancement as we think about those that are involved in academics or affiliated with academics, going from an instructor to assistant to associate to a full professor. So we want to learn more about what's been happening. And then our second project is our STAT apheresis procedure. We're also just getting started on this to develop a survey to learn more from our colleagues about what defines a STAT procedure for apheresis medicine, what are the types of procedures, and how do you define them in terms of how many hours, say, after a patient presentation. So these are our 2 big projects that are happening now. And on the next slide, I'll focus on our subcommittees. So our first subcommittee, this is our Apheresis Graduate Medical Education Subcommittee. It's led by Angie Tremmel, and we are currently looking for a vice chair for this subcommittee. They have 14 members. So just again, a reminder, you're a member of the GME subcommittee. You're also a member of the Apheresis Physician Committee. They meet every other month for an hour, and their current projects are we're in the midst, or actually near done, writing a manuscript which was based on a survey that we sent out to our group looking at how apheresis medicine education and service management changed during the COVID-19 pandemic. So what were we doing differently in terms of education in particular during the heat of the COVID pandemic? And also, this subcommittee will be presenting at the upcoming Journal Club. I gotta do a shout out here for the upcoming Journal Club. It'll be Wednesday, August 24th, 9 a.m. Pacific time or 12 p.m. Eastern time. And we'll be sharing a prior publication from this subcommittee. It's based on entrustable professional activities, also called EPAs, for apheresis medicine. And we're really looking forward to that. So we hope all of you that are on the call now will join us on August 24th for our live Journal Club. And the third project for this group, they're in the very early stages to thinking about a survey, which will actually come full circle from the Journal Club to ask our members how they are addressing and implementing apheresis EPAs. Okay, next slide, please. All right. right, well, our next slide, if it comes up, I hope. Okay, this is our Apheresis Medicine Attending Physician Subcommittee. It's led by Yvette and Heiko, and they are also seeking a new vice chair. It has 20 members and meets monthly and has several projects that they're working on right now. One is it's been kind of a long-term project developing an apheresis medicine app, and hopefully we're getting near the finish line for this to move forward. This app, just for a little more detail, it's not going to encompass all of the guidelines. It's going to pull out very key information from the guidelines, inclusive of things like the clinical indication for the procedure, what category it is, the frequency to set up a treatment plan, and replacement volume and type of replacement fluids used. So we're really looking forward to this coming to fruition. And as mentioned, I'm hoping this will be perhaps in the next 6 months or so. The group is also in the final stages of looking at apheresis, another survey which we hope will go live for our membership next month. And it's looking at apheresis practice variation during COVID and to kind of compare what changed in practices pre-COVID. So think about the year 2019 compared to the year March 2020 through March 2022. So we hope to assess what these differences are, and maybe we'll see, are some of those changes, are they still in play, or have people reverted to where we were pre-COVID-19 pandemic? And of course, we hope every time we put a survey together and we distribute it to our ASFA membership, we always hope to follow up with some sort of manuscript publication. This next slide, this subcommittee is also gearing up for a couple of live presentations in November. We're still determining the date. We will oversee a journal club, well, sort of a journal club based webinar. We will be presenting one of our more recent publications from which was based on apheresis physician well-being during the COVID-19 pandemic. It was published last year. And during that presentation, we also plan to have a guided meditation. So stay tuned. As mentioned, we're looking forward to this in November, just a few months away. We'll probably blink and we'll be there. And we are also date to be determined for a live journal club presentation, again, based on one of the manuscripts from the subcommittee, which was a survey-based study on vascular access practices for therapeutic apheresis. So as you can see, these are very active. This is a really active group, very engaged, whether, the committee and both of the subcommittees. I hope we've piqued your interest in our what we're currently working on in terms of projects, and please don't hesitate to reach out if you have questions, if you're interested in joining us. We'd love to hear from you. I think that's all for my slides.
Thanks, Kay. This was great. Next, we have the Public Affairs and Advocacy Committee with Sue Knight.
Hi, everyone. I am Sue Knight. I am the Senior Director of the Medical Sciences Institute at University. I work with the transfusion medicine physician team and help to oversee the apheresis program. Next slide, please. So the Public Affairs and Advocacy Committee is a little bit different. A lot of what you heard about so far is focused on education, publications, essentially the medicine and science related to apheresis. This committee is a bit more about the business aspect. The Public Affairs and Advocacy Committee addresses advocacy, public relations, and regulatory issues related to apheresis and ASFA, including the development and regular review of publications relevant to reimbursement and related issues. We meet every 2 months, the fourth Wednesday of the month at noon Central Time. Rarely these are rescheduled due to scheduling conflicts, but every 2 months we meet in person at the ASFA annual meeting. And we also have subcommittees or project groups that meet ad hoc as needed. We don't have any active subcommittees right now, but we do have a project that I'll talk about in just a moment. Next slide, please. So one of the main things that this committee is involved with is reimbursement issues, and particularly the 2022 ASFA reimbursement guide is something that we've been working on. This is led by Dr. Jan Hoffman. It is a routine thing that we do, and the 2022 guide is complete and expected to receive board approval sometime this summer, and will subsequently be made available to members on the ASFA website. A new addendum on the current state of recent Medicare telehealth reimbursement codes is in process. Apheresis and lipoprotein apheresis, they're examples of things that the committee has taken a deeper dive in. In regards to LDL apheresis, there was an ASFA newsflash regarding this in the past, and Dr. Hoffman's working to update the newsflash. The gist of this is that there was a period of time that LDL wasn't being reimbursed, and now payments are being made on a case-by-case basis. So the committee discusses documented and anecdotal information, and then helps provide guidance to the ASFA membership. Right now, we're awaiting verification that our analysis of CMS language is correct, at least for current state, before we notify the membership. And in regards to teleapheresis, which this committee did some presentations and white papers about 2 years ago on this topic. We are working to develop a new addendum, as I just mentioned, on that current state of reimbursement. But having a new CPT code approved takes 2 to 3 years. So with that said, we're asking, can we repurpose other codes versus establishing new ones? It's a very current example of what we're doing to help move forward the understanding of how to get reimbursed for apheresis remotely. The committee also collaborates with FDA, AABB, and other organizations as needed. And a great example of a project we're working on is this guidance document, which we're in the process of bringing together a group led by Dr. Chester Andrzejewski, who is also our co-chair, and it's called Guidance for Documentation of Therapeutic Apheresis Interventions in the Medical Record and ASFA Practice Perspective. And so this group will revise and review our position on this topic and write a paper. And the goal is to complete this guidance in the next several months. So these are just some examples of things that we're working on. So I encourage you to consider this committee as well. It's a great way to stay informed of the current aspects related to managing billing and insurance and regulatory related issues. Thank you.
Thank you, Sue. And last but not least, we have the research committee with Jennifer Webb.
Hi, everyone. Thank you. My name is Dr. Jennifer Webb, and I am the Director of Therapeutic Apheresis at Children's National Hospital in Washington, D.C. The research committee grew out of the Clinical Applications Committee, where there was a clear and evident need to study the effect of apheresis in rare diseases. And to make real statements about the efficacy of apheresis, we needed to harness the collaborative insights and experience of the ASFA membership. In addition to creation of a registry for rare diseases, there was further push for ASFA to become a leader in the study of apheresis. Thus, in 2016, a standing research committee was created. The research committee is responsible for all apheresis research issues related to patient and donor outcomes, including risks and potential benefits related to apheresis. Our goals are to promote discussion and collaboration in the identification and prioritization of key research questions, to facilitate networking of apheresis centers and practitioners for the advancement of research in apheresis, which may be accomplished by development of ASFA-centered consortium via registries and other clinical trial networks with a focus on rare diseases. To enhance ASFA's research mission by educating ASFA members of potential resources of extramural funding, and to promote interactions with relevant government and private agencies in seeking funding opportunities for the study of apheresis medicine. Next slide. We have a number of different subcommittees developing and studying the applications of apheresis in a field or as applied to a specific disease. These include the Neurologic Diseases Subcommittee, the Nephrology Subcommittee, the HIT Subcommittee, Sickle Cell Disease Subcommittee, the TTP-TMA Subcommittee, ECP, and Allied Health Subcommittee. There's also the Research Resources Committee, which helps disseminate research-related information to the ASFA membership. Disease subcommittees do change based on relevant projects and questions being asked, with the intention that after a project is completed, a subcommittee can either develop a new project or question, study a new disease within their field, or be dissolved to allow a new disease or apheresis application to be studied. Next slide. Because our focus is on research, we do share some of our subcommittees with other standing committees, such as the ECP committee under the clinical applications and allied health, since the projects in our subcommittee really are focused on research. Some active and ongoing projects within the subcommittees include the rationale to defer ECP survey out of the ECP subcommittee. There are a number of surveys to assess practice variation coming out of the allied health subcommittee. And then the research resources subcommittee is working on updates to the ASFA website, including all of the ASFA surveys that have been done since 2013. Next slide. The HIT subcommittee recently presented a plenary abstract looking at outcomes of HIT treated with therapeutic plasma exchange. The TTP-TMA subcommittee developed a survey to assess practice patterns in the management of thrombotic microangiopathies. The sickle cell disease subcommittee is actively collecting data to assess the effect of hemoglobin A decrement on clinical effects. The nephrology subcommittee presented as a plenary abstract their preliminary data on FSGS outcomes when treated with plasma exchange. And the neurologic diseases subcommittee is focused on data entry into their myasthenia gravis registry. So in summary, the research committee is the research arm of ASFA. We have a number of projects that are active and ongoing. However, there are plenty of opportunities to study new areas within our field, and we are constantly looking for ASFA members to participate either by submitting data or taking a role in developing a new research question. And we look forward to having you join us.
Thank you. I'd like to invite all of the committee chairs and presenters to come back on camera. We already have a question, but for the attendees, any questions that you have, if you can please just put them in the chat or where it says questions, and we'll get to answering them. So the first question we have is, what is the requirement to join the education committee? So Matt, I'll direct that to you.
So from my vantage point, just like Dr. Park said, we look forward to anyone. It doesn't matter how many years you've been on the committee. It doesn't really matter too much on your background, as long as you have an excitement and interest and you apply, then we basically, we just look at those who are applying and interested, and we go from there. So I don't think there's any specific requirements that you need if you're interested.
Thanks. Just to reiterate, none of the committees have any educational requirements, and I'm not sure if that's what the question was getting at. Okay, so the next question we have is, how many committees can a member join? Are there any limits? Maybe I'll let Yara answer that question.
I cannot remember off the top of my head. I think you can be on 3 committees, I believe. But if you move on to the next question, I'm going to go look something up real quick, and I'll get back to you, Nicole.
Okay. So something to keep in mind when thinking about joining committees, if you wanted to just join a committee for a meeting to see how it's run before deciding to commit to that, you can certainly reach out. You can see on this, where on the screen it says join a committee, www.apheresis.org/committees. That's where all the committees are listed, and you can reach out there to join a committee. If we've overwhelmed you with a lot of information today, which I think is a lot of good information, but please follow up on the website to take a deeper dive into the committees. And if you're just not sure, because they all sound very interesting, which I agree, they all do sound really interesting, feel free to kind of audit a committee and before deciding if you want to join. I think it would be a mistake to join all of them because we want you to be actively engaged, and you can't be actively engaged in, how many different committees do we have here? 10 or something like that. So if you kind of wanted to just try it out, or even, set up a brief conversation with one of the committee chairs if you just want more information about what that particular committee is doing, that's fine too. This isn't a life sentence. Joining committee is not a life sentence. You can join it, and then if you decide after a year or two that you want to try something else, feel free to do that. This is really about finding the best fit for you and the organization. Okay.
And to circle back, Nicole, I don't think it's in the bylaws that it says how many committees you can be on. I would say probably my personal bet is, I think 3 is more than enough. Like you said, you don't want to get overcommitted, but if anyone from head office knows the answer that I am getting wrong, please feel free to jump in.
So our next question is,
Nicole, so I just for all of the committee, it's the same, but the requirement is going to be 50% of attending to the meeting. So my committee is ISC, and then many people cannot attend because of the time differences. That's why I created 2 meetings. So 50% of attendance of the quarterly meeting or every other meeting. That is a requirement, isn't it?
It is.
Yes,
Thank you for bringing that up, Chisa. Thank you. Any of the other committee chairs want to talk about how many committees or anything like that? Okay. So the next question is, can you recommend a committee for someone who works for a cellular therapy lab? I have my comments, but I will let somebody else speak first. All right, well, since nobody's going to chime in, you got me. So any of these committees would work for somebody who works in a cell therapy lab, because your expertise would be needed on the abstracts committee, right? Because we do have abstracts related to cellular therapy. It would be, I think you would get a lot out of the research committee. Also, depending on if you're in allied health, the allied health committee would welcome you. Education, education is part of what we all do. So, I could go through every single committee and tell you a reason why you should join that committee. I won't, but definitely you have your pick working in cellular therapy. So I know I did not make that choice easier for you. And if you want to email me separately, you're welcome to do that. I'm happy to kind of walk through some of what the different committee activities. But yeah, your area of expertise can easily fit into any committee. All right, are there any other questions? I don't currently see any in the chat. I don't know if the chairs have anything that they want to add. Okay. All right. So since we don't have any other questions, oh, Gay, did you want to say something? Go ahead. You're muted. All right, I cannot. I think Gay is trying to get herself off of mute, but maybe.
I think she's going to put it in the chat.
Okay. Okay. So there are no limits to the number of committees that you can join. And then Gay said she was muted by the organizer. I promise I didn't do that. I think you're unmuted now.
I've been released. Thank you for unmuting me. I just wanted to share for everybody listening that, and it really is reiterating, it's really a great opportunity to participate on any of these committees. And it's not only to learn more about ASFA and get more involved in ASFA, but I'll go back to what I mentioned too, is the camaraderie. And we always seem to use our committee meetings in part. Somebody will bring up, whether it's through email or at the time of our committee meeting, somebody will bring up some patient scenario, something that they're currently dealing with, to get opinion from other committee members. So I really just want to stress that it is both like a personal and professional sense of camaraderie from participating through these committees. In addition to, it's always fantastic to get more involved with the professional organization, and you get a little insight into what it's like behind the scenes of a professional organization such as ASFA. That was all, my 2 cents.
Thank you very much, Kay. So again, absolutely agree. The committees are really a great way to just expand your network and get to know more people in apheresis, and certainly to ask questions. I've emailed people like, hey, I have this. Has anybody had this experience before or dealt with this, difficult situation? Or have you ever treated anybody with XY disease? They're asking me to do apheresis for this, and I've never done it before. So it really is a great way to just meet more people. Okay, well, I think I don't see any additional questions in the chat. So I just want to thank everybody. Well, thank first of all the chairs and speakers for spending the time with us to really let our members get to know what the brilliant work that the committees are doing, and then obviously thank the audience for your attention. And as I said, go to that website, look up the committees, and there's a link on there if you want to join one. And you're also welcome to email me with any questions on these committees. All right, have a great day, everyone.